Hello and welcome to the No Huddle Football Podcast, Ep.3. I am Chris.
Uh,
With me, of course, Ryan. What's
Hello.
going on, Ryan?
Oh, not too much. Just enjoying a few days of no football, actually, after my horrible fantasy weekend.
Yeah, was that bad? Oh,
Uh,
yeah, that's right.
When against the top scoring person, yes.
Yeah, it's
Decimate,
always rough.
decimated
Was,
me, man.
was she the top or was she one of the top?
I
Because I
think
don't know. There were some people that went off this week.
she ended up with like the 158, and I had like 117.
150.
Yeah, she had
Yeah,
153.
153.8. Yeah, we had three 150-point scores in our league this week.
Most of them came from the Miami game.
Yes. Yes, the Miami game produced a few of them. What was the other big one?
I
Not
mean,
Debo Samuel. Oh, Richie, he just did good all the way down. He just had a thought. Buffalo, that was his big score. Buffalo's
yeah.
defense. Yeah. So another solid week of football. Solid week of fantasy football,
Mm.
depending on who you ask. I mean, there's some big players out there. I think we got to start first though with the big two things, the big two storylines we saw out there. I'm going to start off by asking you, what do you feel so far? We're only 3 weeks in, but what is the most embarrassing thing this year for football? Would it be the Broncos with their 50-point loss, getting 70 points dropped on them? Or would it just be the Bears 2023 season in general? You know, all the high hopes. Oh, we got DJ Moore. That's it. We're winning the North. We're making a deep run. I don't know, some people, if they're crazy enough to say Super Bowl, and here they sit, probably the worst looking team, even worse than the Cardinals and the Texans. So what
Yeah.
would you say is more embarrassing?
Oh, I would definitely have to say the Bears. I mean, the 70 points, does it happen often? No, but like it's a struggling Broncos team, basically a rebuilding team, new coach, trying to like get shit in order. And the Dolphins, they're just loaded. Like, what do you expect? Like when you
Yeah.
put a team that's literally loaded against a team that's like it's on the shakiest legs, um, that's just gonna happen. So but for the Bears, like all that preseason hype, all this Justin Fields is elite. How we love to say. It's just
Mm-hmm.
it's embarrassing for football because like it doesn't even look like they're playing. It just looks like they're out there. And then he like what happened? I thought he was freestyling this week, and he did worse than he did whenever he was being coached. When he's being coached, he put up decent numbers sometimes. He had more
Yeah.
rushing yards than passing yards 95% of the time, but at least he was productive. Him going out there and freestyling, just doing what's natural, like he had under 100 passing yards. I want to say like 96 passing yards. That's pretty. Let me look. I got it pulled up right here. Let me see. Let me scroll down.
I was gonna look and see where are we at.
I got the box score right here. Justin Fields 90. He went 11 for 22, so he's 50%. 99 yards passing, one touchdown, one interception, sacked three times for a total QBR of 18.4.
Whew. Yeah.
Elite level right there.
Elite.
He did also
Yeah.
have 11 carries for 47 yards.
Okay. So he had a few carries, but not much. Everyone was thinking he was going to be getting, easily 100, 125 yards rushing, probably another 200 yards passing, maybe a couple of touchdowns through the air or on the ground, one or the other. We're looking 2, 3 touchdowns a game, and it hasn't happened. And I could definitely see what you were saying. Like, I feel like part of the way through the game last week against the Bucks, like they just looked like they were out of it. There was that little clip that came out where was it Devin White, I think, or Levante David? I think it was Devin White. He's like, man, they're not even using you right. When he was talking to DJ Moore, and
Hmm.
he's like, yeah, I know. Like they just seem like they're already out of it. 3 weeks in, and like they're just throwing in the towel.
And the worst part about it is, right? So like Justin Fields will be there for this year probably, and then they're gonna fire this coach, and then he's gonna draft someone with their first overall pick, who's gonna also be a fucking dumpster fire. On and on, insanity. That's just the Bears. Like
Yeah.
why? Like you hired the coach, write it out. You can get rid of players. I understand that there's a draft for a reason, But for the
But
coach, write it
didn't
out.
this coach inherit Justin Fields? That wasn't
Yeah, so
his guy.
yeah, Matt Nagy drafted Justin
Okay.
Fields, so it's not his guy.
So
Which
yeah,
who
so I have
fuck?
a
If you're a
feeling.
good coach, it shouldn't matter. Coach the dude to success.
Yeah. But I think though I don't know that the well, I don't know. Depending on how bad I guess the team gives up, if they like straight tank this year, then I could see him gone. But if not, maybe they say let's see, let's give him a chance to get his guy and see what he can do with his guy. But I don't know. We'll see.
I just think
It
as
looks bad in Chicago right now.
oh, it
It
looks
looks real
horrible.
bad.
And like as one of the classic NFL teams, like just you hate to see it as like a fan of the NFL, like when a classic team is just like an embarrassment to the league. Like for
Mhm.
like for hockey, right? Like I'm a Detroit Red Wings fan. Like for a while, it's like why? Like what are you doing out there, man? You're the best,
Yeah,
like the best North American team of all time. Like what are you doing? Same shit.
yeah, yeah. They pretty bad.
Yeah.
So so for me, I was thinking about this, and I think the most embarrassing thing so far is that Broncos game. And I think it for a couple reasons. Every year, there's somebody that starts off really poor, looks like crap. Oh, this is everyone's got a lot of preseason hype. Granted, this Bears team is particularly bad when there was a particular lot of hype. But I think for the Broncos, it's especially bad because it was a historic loss. It's something that we're not going to, it's something that's going to go in the record books. This Bears 0-3 start isn't going to really come up in the record books that anyone's going to be looking at, but 70-point games, someone gets 70 dropped on them. There's only been four now. They're one of four teams to have ever had that happen, and the first since 1966. Like so far before our time. That's when you had some like really lopsided, some teams that were really lopsided and everything, and there wasn't a whole lot go. Man, 70 points. And they had the chance to tie the record and put it up at 73, but they didn't want to
Mercy.
do that.
Mercy.
Yeah. And it was bad too, because it's like they even put in their backups early in the game, it felt like.
Yeah, they're just a
And
bad team.
I couldn't even tell when the backups were in because it still looked like the starters.
It looked like a
looked
Power 5 conference team playing fucking some third Division 3 football team. That's definitely what it looked like. Like the 20
Yeah.
like people will like look and say like, "Oh, Russell Wilson had a productive game." Yeah, no shit. When you're out there, when you have at least 10 offensive drives because you've been scored upon 10 times, you're going to put up some numbers. You're going to have to. But the math, that's
And
the math.
I think what makes this one even more embarrassing is all of Sean Payton's talk recently. Between the big thing to me was like, I have never ever seen a coach take a low blow shot at another coach like he did in the preseason. Oh, I don't know what was going on here last year, and that guy didn't really know how to run a team or whatever. Like, that's not normal to hear coaches trash talking like that. Like, you're supposed to be like the level-headed person setting the good example and everything. And here you are, like, man, you're like really lacing into this guy. Like, I don't know. I felt bad for Nathaniel Hackett. Yeah, that team was bad, but maybe they're just a bad team because now Sean Payton's there. Everyone's thinking he's going to be the savior, and they look worse than they did last year.
Yeah,
And they don't look any better.
there was I don't know if you saw it, but there was an interview in the locker room. It was like a linebacker or something that's been there for like the last 7 years, and he's like crying because he's like, "All we've done is lose." I'm like, oh, man, that's tough.
I saw that guy was.
They're a professional loser.
And then you also had last year. I saw a quote. Now I don't know if this had to do with health or performance, but I saw where Sean Payton last year when he was doing whatever analyst whatever he was doing, talking about, oh, I fully expect to see Tua replaced next year, meaning this year, by X amount of time. Now Tua comes out here and his team drops 70 on you. Whew.
Yeah, what do you know? You're not a doctor, bro.
Yeah, that's what I said. I don't remember if that was a health related comment or if that was a performance related comment. But man, watching Sean Payton in the post game interview, hilarious. So
Yeah, he was like he's like dodging questions and shit.
just pissed off. Didn't want to answer the question. What's your fucking question? Well, what's your question? Well, what do you think about this performance? Next question. Like he was so mad and flustered. I'm like, I'm loving it. After how much crap he talked about Hackett and Tua and everything.
Yeah, like I mean, you really shouldn't talk your shit until you've completed the job. That's when you talk your shit. Run your mouth. Don't like. What have you done? You haven't done anything. You're sitting there talk shit about Nathaniel Hackett. The dude was like going crazy because of Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Like
And now you see what Mr. Unlimited, what he's all about firsthand and realize, oh man, maybe it wasn't all Hackett having the issues.
Dolphins about had unlimited touchdowns, man.
Yeah. That's true. Oh man. So we had a little bit of a stunner this week.
Oh
We had
yeah,
them boys
them
out in the
boys.
desert. Going against the Cardinals. A lot of us, myself included, thought they were just going to tank this year. But I guess the players didn't get the memo on that one, as they were heavy underdogs in their own stadium.
Yeah,
Cowboys come into town hot off 2 wins, and they get punched in the mouth, and that was shocking to see. I think that was probably the most shocking game of the week as far as a win and a loss.
Yeah, you love to see it, Anytime the Cowboys just like absolutely shoot themselves in the foot, Barney Five style is always so like just I don't know. It just feels so great. It's like a drug, right? It's like all that shit talking they do, like we them boys, and then they lose to a team they shouldn't lose to. You're like, wow, dude. I loved it. I loved every second of it. But at the end of the day, it's any given Sunday. You never know. They're professional players out there.
Yeah, and I saw some people saying, "Oh, it's because Trayvon Diggs got hurt, and that's why we lost." Like
one guy, you have like 50. It's a 53-man roster, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got all these guys, and you're going to say one guy is out, and so that's why your whole team underperformed.
Yeah, that's just such a bullshit excuse.
They only gave up 28 points. It's not.
Yeah, it's like they're a barn burner.
It's not like they gave up 70 points.
Yeah, then that. Yeah. I mean, that, like they barely lost it by 12 points, but it's like
But your offense put up 16 points.
Yeah.
Like, how did that happen?
Your special teams put up 9 of that. Well, 10 technically.
Yeah. But I see, what was it? Looking at Dak, 25 of 40, 249, 1 touchdown, threw that crucial interception.
Yeah, red zone interception. Love to see it. Love to see it.
Once again, Pollard's like the lone bright spot. 23 carries, 122 yards.
I mean, Michael Gallup had a pretty decent day too for someone who's being pushed down to 3rd on the wide receiver chart.
Yeah, because you got Lamb
6 for 92
above him.
Yeah. 6 for 92. It's not too bad.
So I just wonder if they don't like this. I don't know if they don't win it all this year. Are they going to do another head coaching change? You think? I could see Jerry Jones getting fed up with it and saying, "All right, next guy in. Let's bring in somebody else."
I do and I don't. I think Jerry Jones is a smart enough man. Like obviously he puts together really good teams. Like player base. Like on paper, he's the GM. He puts together some great teams. I think the coaching is the problem. But I also think he's smart enough to know that if I replace a coach, I have to have a small rebuild. Like I'm 1,000 years old. How can I really, sit through this again? It's not like McCarthy's a bad coach by any means. Like his team just does stupid shit. Like they just need to button shit. Like fuck, dude, get Jerry Jones on the sideline. I'm sure those dudes will fucking straighten up. The dude's out there yelling about them not getting paychecks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. It was just a shocker to see, but I don't know. It was surprising. You've got the Patriots up next. After that, a really tough matchup against the Cowboys. Should be a fun matchup against the Chargers. So they got some games that they got to right the ship now, because it's not going to get any easier. That was the easy part of their schedule. Those first 3 games. It's not easy after this.
Yeah, definitely ramps up Niners, Chargers, Eagles. You got some Bills later. Dolphins are going to be a problem for them. Lions will likely always late in the season. They're probably going to be hurting for wins unless and they have to pick it up too. If they're hurting for wins at the end, you look what they did last year. but people like wire to wire with people like at the end, like fighting, like because they're fighting. You know, obviously they want to win.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, dude.
Yep. We will see how that works out for them. But I don't know, a lot of frustration there in that locker room from what I could see afterwards. And
I'm sure.
speaking of a lot of frustration, the
Oh yeah.
Jets. Whew,
Oh yeah.
man, this team has completely imploded.
Once again,
Completely,
you love to see
yes.
it.
Aaron Rodgers goes down, and man, this team, like they were still. I feel like that opening night game, they were like riding off the momentum of the whole Aaron Rodgers and the start of the season and all the lights, and somehow pulled off that miracle win. It's almost like whenever you get hurt, but still you can still keep playing in that game just
Yeah,
based off
adrenaline.
adrenaline.
Yeah,
And then afterward, it's like, okay, I finished that game, but now I'm going to be out for a month. And I feel like that's where the Jets are at right now. Is they just have no momentum. They look awful.
yeah.
I mean, it all revolves around the quarterback right now. They don't know what to do for their quarterback situation. I see that they signed somebody today. Did you see they finally made a decision on quarterback who to bring in?
Yeah, Trevor Simeon. Oh my
There you
god,
go.
dude.
The savior. He's here.
Why? Like, I mean, granted, I don't know like who's available or like, you know, when it comes down to like signing people, like the process, but like
Nobody. Nobody available.
I mean, there has to be.
There is notable free agents. I mean, who would you want to go with? They have Matt Ryan.
Yeah, that's a better pick. That's a better pick right off the bat. I don't care if he's old. He's an MVP.
Matt Ryan and Carson Wentz both reached out to them.
I would take
Reached
Matt
out
Ryan.
to the Jets.
I would take Matt Ryan strictly because of the MVP, and he's a veteran. He could probably get those dudes somewhat under control. He may not be like the most productive dude, but I'm sure he could put them together enough to where they're not imploding. What's Trevor Simeon going to do besides make more discord by being terrible?
I don't know. Let's see who else is out there. I know there's a few more. I thought, what's his name? Colt McCoy. Maybe he.
Yeah,
he's that decent.
would. Yeah, again, veteran dude who's he's pretty productive. Like, there's a lot of better choices. I mean,
Nick Foles.
Yeah, I mean, serviceable. Again, better than Trevor Simeon. Dude's, has a statue in fucking Philadelphia. Where does Trevor Simeon have a statue? Probably nowhere.
Like that's it. There's just not
you gotta
anyone out there.
I've
started to trying to sign up for the practice squad. But like I've seen where people said that the Vikings should trade away Kirk Cousins and then go get a quarterback next year.
Yeah.
You could get some draft capital back for that. Like I feel like that move makes sense. Like if the Vikings decide to go full tank, it's a lost season. Like what if they lose again next week?
You know, it would be a great trade for Kirk Cousins. They trade for draft picks and Aaron Rodgers. So he goes to Minnesota. Follow that Favre train, man.
Oh, jeez. That would be hilarious.
That would be
if they wanted to
great.
use him for like a 1 year, because I don't know how much time he has left on his contract. I don't know where he's at, but would you want to use him for a 1 year rental? No.
Kirk
Cousins.
over
Would you want to use him as a
over
1 year
Zach
rental?
Wilson and Trevor Simeon and God knows what. Fuck yeah! Like I said, Kirk Cousins isn't a bad quarterback, especially when it comes to terms of fantasy. Like the dude, you can set your watch to his stats. You know what he's going to get you at the very least, unless it's like some weird game where he's like not in it, which doesn't really happen often. But you're guaranteed 250 to 300 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. You can set your watch to it, and you can build a plan around that. Yes. What do you have with these dudes in New York? Nothing.
You could reunite them then with Dalvin Cook too.
Yeah. Again, the chemistry there always helps. You know.
Yep. So wait, how did Zach Wilson? What was his stat line this week? Let me look it up here.
He
was 18 for 36,
157,
no touchdowns, no interceptions, 3 sacks,
17.6 QBR.
Yep.
He is somehow slightly worse than Justin Fields with more yardage.
I saw a comparison today for Zach Wilson. through however many starts he's had in his career to this point. You know who he's on track with for all his stats? Not all, but a lot of his stats up until this point? Marcus Russell.
Wow.
That's where his stat is win loss, some
Ouch.
important key stats. Yeah.
Ouch.
I feel like the Jets overdrafted him off that one throw in practice with no pads. That roll
in a
out to
dome.
the left, crossbody, dome, no defense, no pads.
Zero credit to the receiver.
Yes, just like everyone was so blown away. I'm like, God, some team's gonna get caught up in this one video, and they're gonna draft him way too soon.
It happens all the time. I mean, granted, Anthony Richardson's a bit, until his concussion was playing lights out, but like people got hyped about him. And it's like he's again elite. But it's like, bro, like what has he done? He's throwing in shorts and a t-shirt in an enclosed practice facility on turf with tennis shoes. Like, I can make that throw. I have a fucking disabled arm.
Let's check the game tape.
Yeah,
look at the game tape first.
Yeah, did you watch Florida games, bro? They were a roller coaster.
Yeah, it was bad. So I don't know. I don't know if their season is even salvageable at this point for the Jets. I mean,
they got rid of Mike White, which is bad news. He was obviously the best quarterback you've had since Brett Favre.
They should have kept him. But I mean, it's not going to get any easier for the Jets. You know who they got this week? The Chiefs.
The Chefs. I mean, yeah, they're gonna get waxed. They're gonna get waxed. That is absolutely for sure. Because I mean, they got their mid-season form obviously shook it out after the first game and a half, and then okay, we're good.
And then what happens if they take a beat down in that? They're now 1-3, really down on themselves. Then they got to go out to Denver, which looks like an easy win, but if your team has got dysfunction, can you imagine if they go out there and lose to them, that the dysfunction and the anger in the locker room at that point, and then you got to turn around and get ready for a game against the Eagles right after that?
And the thing about the Broncos game too, it's a 425 window, so it's like most people are going to be watching this game. If you think of terms of NFL Red Zone, it's like what 3 other games going on at the time. People are going to be watching how embarrassing you are. So. Good luck.
It's going to be one of our 3 afternoon games. What else do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 games. Thank goodness. We got Bengals, Cardinals, Eagles, Rams, Jets, Broncos, Chiefs, Vikings at the 4:00 slot that week, and 2 weeks from now.
We're going to see 0 highlights of the Jets v Broncos game. Like 0. It's going to have the 3 box, and then it's going to have like a tiny box, like right here in the corner, however my finger, like that's going to be the Broncos Jets game.
You're going to get the Bucks treatment on Red Zone, which means you're never going to be seen.
Flexed out.
Yeah. Even when Brady was there in the last year, I think the first year they showed him more, but year 2 and year 3,
but they weren't in the red zone. Who fucking cared? Yeah, they didn't care.
But it was like they're in the red zone and it'd be like, oh, let's look at this highlight play. Like never live. Let's look at this highlight where the Bucks just scored. Okay, back to the next game. Here's this team that's on their own 20-yard line, though.
They keep running up the middle.
Drive.
Great.
Yeah.
Riveting.
Let's show this drive. But the Bucks will show highlights. We're going to show as minimal as we need to. That's what the Jets are going to get.
Yeah. Terribly.
So, speaking of the Bucks, up this week, coming up, they have division rival Saints, who they got some issues now. Their quarterback, Derek Carr, went out with an injury.
Mm-hmm. He'll be out for a while. He has an AC joint issue, so like right here in the shoulder, so he can't throw like probably at all.
Yeah. What did they say? A few weeks?
Yeah,
it's going to be on that.
Yeah, it takes. I get AC joint issues all the time because I have a bad shoulder, so it takes 2 to 3, sometimes 4 weeks. I had all September, this whole month, I had an inflamed shoulder. Nothing you can do. If you move it, it hurts. You just have to ice it and like not do anything. And as a quarterback,
yeah, that's kind of important. Kind of need to be able to do
unless you're Justin Fields and you just run all the time,
There you go. So the Saints have to go back to good old Jameis Winston.
Fucking old crab legs, man.
and like I said, I thought they were starting off really good. They've been really good for 2.5 games or 2 3/4 games. Like under Derek Carr, they were 2-0. They were when he went out, they were winning 17-0 when he went out. They lost the game 18-17.
Yeah.
Jameis Winston needed to lead one field goal drive, and they could have won the game. That's all he needed to do was muster up one field goal drive.
He's probably on the sideline. He's like, I don't know. I can get you a pick six though. No. It's the opposite direction.
Which guy do I throw it to? Which color?
Yeah.
Which color jersey am I throwing it to?
It's odd because like I think players like to play with Jameis Winston, but like at the same time, like what? Why?
Except for Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah, but like why? Yeah, like he's not as a receiver, maybe because on the off chance he's not throwing an interception, like he will huck it like 70 yards down the field to you. That is for sure.
Yep, he gets some big yard plays. I mean, he did all right with 10 for 16, 101 yards, just no touchdowns, no interceptions. Surprisingly, 1 sack, 55 QBR. Not jumping out at you, but still, you needed one field goal.
And who's their kicker? And they were inside. He only had to get him to like the 45 of the opposing team. It's not very far. You start on your own 20-25. Like you have to go 30 yards, and you can't do that.
Well, yeah, about that much, maybe a little more to get them in comfortable range, but still, like.
I mean, if you're kicking inside, yeah, you have a little bit more range, but still, like, it's not a lot of yardage. Just like.
No, they were outside. They were in Green Bay this week.
Oh, they were in Green Bay. Okay.
So yeah, so they were outside, but still, like.
Under 60 yards,
rough.
and you can't do it.
Yeah.
All game, entire half, basically.
So, like, I don't know what that does. I mean, we'll talk about the Bucks here next in a second, but obviously the Saints were my pick to win the division, but that was based off Derek Carr being healthy. You know, he went down. The whole NFC South took a loss this week after going 6-2 with the 2 losses being the Panthers to the Falcons and the Saints. So outside of our division, we were undefeated, and now we all lost this week. So, like, I don't know what to make of this division. I feel like it's going to be a very up and down. You just don't know what to expect from one week to the next at this point, especially with Derek Carr being out.
I definitely
think we're finally going to. Go ahead.
I was say this division I think is definitely for the Bucks to lose at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, we'll get there, but they don't look terrible. Sometimes I don't know what they're doing.
But we're going to finally get to see, hopefully, maybe, the Jameis Winston versus Bucks matchup that we've been waiting for years. Because
God, I can't wait for the home game.
It was Derek Carr, not Derek Carr, Andy Dalton.
Mm-hmm.
It was Taysom Hill. And then the one time that Jameis Winston got to start, he barely played a few snaps, got taken out by Devin White, tore his leg up.
Yeah.
And then so we didn't really get to see a Winston. So this is the Winston. It's cooled off a little bit now at this point. He's been gone for a while, but we get to see Winston versus the Bucks. So I'm going to be excited for that matchup this week. And that one is, where's that one?
They're at the Saints. They're in, They don't play again until week 16. Am I looking at that right?
Oh, man.
They don't play. Yeah, they don't play again until New Year's Eve. So we won't see the Jameis at home, unfortunately.
Oh, it's too bad.
Yeah. Unless Carr's out for whatever reason, but I doubt New Year's Eve his AC joint's still going to be looking rough.
I'd love to see him throw some pick sixes.
Yeah, just like old times.
Exactly. Just like old times. The last Bucks game that I went to in 2019 was him versus the Falcons. Final play of the game. It was him throwing a pick six and losing the game. Well, there you go. That puts a perfect close to his time here in Tampa. I
enjoyed the time we went to the game when they were playing the Giants, and I called 2 pick sixes, almost perfectly. It's about time for that pick six, huh?
Yeah, there it is. Like clockwork. Just like you were saying, you can pencil in some Kirk Cousins stats. You can pencil in some Jameis Winston interceptions and the occasional pick six.
Yeah, you're getting a turnover, maybe worse.
Yeah. You might be getting a touchdown pass just to the wrong team.
Yeah, I forgot what color they were wearing, Coach.
Yeah. What are you, Vinny Testaverde? Do you not? Can you not see colors out there? What's going on?
Yeah.
But speaking about the Bucks, we got to talk about that game last night.
Hmm.
That was rough. Did you stay up for the whole thing?
I gave up sometime in the third quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could
It was
I
sad.
could see that it was going south. The only thing that kept me watching that game at that point was fantasy football.
Yeah. I had two players.
I,
I'd Goddard and Godwin, who
I had
underperformed.
I had nobody. All my whole team played at 1 o'clock on Sunday.
Oh, that's
So after 1 o'clock Sunday, I was out, and it was just watching my lead get lower and lower and lower
hey, you won then.
all day, Sunday afternoon, Sunday night, and then into last night. And Miranda, because that's who I was going up against, she had Jalen Hurts and Philly's defense. And I said, well, I'm sure Hurts is going to get 20 to 25 points. And then I was looking at it. I'm like, I need the Bucks to score 2 touchdowns, and I'll feel good about a win. No touchdowns, I'm going to lose. 1 touchdown is going to be really, really, really close.
Hmm.
Since our points go down in our league, you get so many points for a shutout. Then after 1 touchdown, 2 touchdowns, it starts to drop. The
Heavily.
Bucks got 11 points. So that put me in that 1 touchdown range, not enough to drop it to the second tier. And then it was driving me crazy when what was it? Hurts threw an interception. I was like, all right, that deducts 2 points off his total. Like, next play for us, Baker gets sacked. So that added 1 point to her defense. Next play after that, okay, they intercept the ball right back. I'm like, so the interceptions wipe each other out. And she got +1 on the sack. I'm like, motherfucker. Same thing on the second interception where D. Delaney, that was an awesome play, by the way, number 30 for the Bucks, trailing all the way down the field, cuts in front of the guy at like the 1 yard line, gets the interception, toe taps. They get the interception, but then they're at the 1 yard line. I'm like, all right, another -2 for Jalen Hurts.
Let's
Next
run up
play,
the middle.
run up the middle for -4 and a safety. Gave those points right back. I was like, oh, it was so
Classic Buccaneer
so
football right
frustrating.
there.
Yeah, up the middle for 1.
You know, it's
or
funny.
none.
Oddly enough, I was talking to Steph's best friend, her husband Tommy. We were exchanging about the Bucks game, and I was talking about how you and I always make the joke about doesn't matter the down or distance or what's on the line, the Bucks are going to run it up the middle if that's the call, And he's like, why? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, I'm like, they've done it for as long as I can remember, like,
Yep.
all stot or not, up the middle. Like, why?
That's what you got to run the ball, right? You need to establish your run. But I don't understand going between the center and the guard on what feels like every play. Do something different. Run it off tackle. Run a
Toss.
jet sweep.
Yeah, Jets
Run a trick run play. Like
a dive.
something. Yeah. Go just something, not just smash up the middle because it's not working. Ryan Jensen isn't there right now, so it's just not going to work as good.
Yeah, I understand the necessity of running the ball. I do understand, but I'm about throwing the ball. I mean, when it comes especially like Madden, like my running back is basically just a blocker. Like I don't get out of here. Yeah, get out of here, dude. Unless you're broke away on like a screen, you are useless to me in this offense. And like, I don't understand why more teams. I mean, I do understand it is very hard to pass in the NFL, but like, I think the best thing to do is to do what they're not expecting, or just never let them anticipate your next move. Like, yes, this is an obvious running down. Fuck that, we're throwing. What? You never know. Instead of playing it safe all the time, like, what is that going to accomplish? Safety is what you got.
It's always hard to pass out of the end zone too, though, because
you get limited space.
Penalty.
But look at my offense in Madden. Fucking run a slot, tight end stream.
It's Madden.
You still get your mismatch. I mean, it's based in some reality, but get your mismatch. Understand how you want to attack other than running. Like, okay, well, I know my tight end is far bigger than this linebacker and better than this linebacker that's covering him. All right, stream down the middle, touch. Oh, look, there's 15 yards.
I think part of that has to do with maybe last night why they're just going to run it in that situation. Something that me and you were texting about. It seemed like for whatever reason, Baker was just holding the ball really long, very hesitant. He looked like he had so much confidence and swagger in week 1 and 2. And last night, something just looked off.
I,
Something looked different.
I thought about it a little bit today, and I think it's because of the weather, and I don't think his hands are very big.
Yeah.
So throwing that ball down here, first of all, anyways, is just harder because it's just the humidity. Like your hands are gonna be fucking sweaty most of the game. But with last night, just like the gloom, that thick pudding fucking weather that you're just walking through, like that ball's slick, right? And I don't think his hands are the largest by any means. So his throws had to count, but his hesitation was not ideal.
Yeah. And plus, they had that storm that rolled through in the middle of the game, too.
Yeah, it doesn't help.
That didn't help things at all.
No.
So I think he went, 15 for 25, 146 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Surprisingly, only 2 sacks. It felt like more than that.
It
But maybe
did.
that's 'cause
It's
he was just
only
getting
2.
rushed. That's what it says. I'm looking right now at the stats on ESPN, and it says 2 sacks for 13 yards.
Damn, they came like relatively close because they had the 2 turnovers on 3 different plays, which was glorious, and then those sacks were all like around the same. Did they just like not play the second half? Like, just weren't
But
there.
then, we're talking about their rushing, and you got to get something going. They got to figure out something there. But they had 17 rushes for 41 yards, 2.4 yard average.
And that's the other thing. Like,
That
if you're
is
not going to establish the run, don't do it at that time.
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Like if your running game's not up to par, especially against that defense, why try it that deep? Just throw it. Just try at least. Like, what's the worst going to happen?
I
The
mean,
safety that you're gonna have.
and we're trying to throw some. That was the next thing I was going to get to. Is Mike Evans looked off as well.
Yeah,
He
his
had a couple of
paychecks are
very
looking light.
uncharacteristic. He had some very uncharacteristic drops early in the game. I could tell he was mad though. I could see it. He was mad. He was mad at himself, I think.
Yeah, he
because
hit
then
it.
he came back with that third catch that was really good. His touchdown pass was really good. He didn't even take the time to celebrate. I know anytime he catches a touchdown pass, it's his thing. He will take the ball and walk it over and hand it to someone in the front row
Mhm.
that's wearing a Mike Evans jersey. Caught that touchdown pass, didn't celebrate, just chuck the ball, whatever. Like, let's get back to work.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, yeah, like celebrating is cool and all, but when you're down and you're like struggling, don't celebrate. Don't look like
Yeah.
don't peacock out there. Do you have nothing to celebrate yet? You celebrate when it's all zeros and you're in the win column. At that point, unless you're just dominating someone.
Yeah. So I don't know. So what do you think? You think they got a chance? Do you think they're dead in the water? I see some people hitting the panic button, but I don't know. I'm not ready to hit the panic button on the Bucks. It's the Eagles, man. They're the NFC champions
Yeah.
for a reason.
No, I don't think in this division you hit the panic button this early. There's still so much. There's so much football left. There's 15 weeks left. Well, excuse me, 14 weeks left. Like there's so much football to play, and I that drives me nuts when people do that. Like early on in the season, like if your team loses, or in fantasy when your team loses, like week 1, week 2, the season's over. What do you mean? Well, X, Y, and Z happened. Like you say that can't happen to anyone else other than you. The tide can't change in your favor. It's over this early. I don't get it.
And the thing of it is, too, this is a game they were expected to lose.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not gonna, it's very rare that you're going to win them all, especially in today's NFL. It's not likely. Why it doesn't ever happen. You're expected to lose this game. You got a new quarterback. The Eagles are a very good team on both sides of the ball. Very good offensive and defensive line. I'm not hitting the panic button yet. You got some winnable games coming up at the Saints with no Derek Carr. Lions, that's a winnable game at home. You have the Falcons then at home. They knock off all 3 of those. You're 5-1. Life is good. We're all right.
Yeah. Then it'll as if like this week never happened.
Exactly. No big deal. So with that, let's jump into our final topic of the evening. Just through 3 weeks, give me your top 5 power rankings from what we've seen. Now that we've gotten a decent sample size from some of these teams, what are you thinking here? Who's your top 5? Do you want to go 1 to 5 or 5 to 1?
I'll go 5-1. I'm gonna, for the sake of a visual aid, I'm gonna do a tier maker. You probably won't be able to see it, but viewers will. Let me switch over to this real quick. All right. Okay. Looks good. So we're going 5 up, eh? All right. So
Yeah, we'll go 5-1.
So that's actually pretty difficult, but I'll say the Packers are at 5,
Yeah.
or at least in the top 5. Once I start working it out, I'll readjust, but they're at least in there. I think they're playing pretty great. They look good. I mean, Jordan Love is playing far better than I anticipated.
Yes, absolutely. He's looking really good.
Their
Damn
run game
Packers,
could be a little bit
they
better.
can't have another good quarterback. That's not fair if they get 3 good quarterbacks
Yeah,
back
like
to back to
in a
back.
row. Yeah. Yeah, especially like if he stays there too. Could you imagine like having just basically 3 quarterbacks for 30 something years?
Yeah, that wouldn't be fair to the rest of the NFL.
That's wild. Yeah. Let's see here. I mean, okay. I'm just not going to do any particular order. I'm just going to put them. It's the 5, and then we'll just work from there. Obviously, the chefs looking good as always. I mean, you might as well just put them in the Power 5 for the whole year, starting week 1 until proven otherwise. They're fucking awesome. The Dolphins, of course, they're just, how can you not, like what you're saying there. It is kind of nice to see, especially with Tua, is like after what happened to him last year, him like being so productive, and like from what it seems like people are taking care of him, like he's not being beat all to shit, right? So looking good. And then we'll go obviously the Eagles looking pretty good. And then finally, where are they at? The Niners. Just probably, it's probably gonna be the Eagles Niners again, NFC Championship for sure at this point.
Yeah.
No.
It's looking that way early on.
But yeah, that's pretty much it, man. How about you?
All right, so I got a top 5. Same thing as you. Like I was able to knock out 4 of these really easy. And then I got down to the 5th one, and I'm like, who? You can make an argument for a lot of teams to put a lot of teams at number 5. But for now, at my number 5, hear me out. I'm sticking with the Cowboys for right now.
The boys, huh?
I'm not quite hitting the panic button on them just yet. I felt like this was maybe a trap game for them.
Yeah.
They had 2 really good games. You're facing the Cardinals, who everyone's questioning, saying they look like they're about to tank. This just had trap game written all over it. And I think it was maybe a wake-up call because they just got embarrassed on national TV.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's going to go over too well with them. So now they need to take care of their business and not get caught looking ahead to the 49ers. But I think they'll take care of business next week at home against the Patriots. And then they got to take on those on the 49ers. So they still, overall, looking at what they have, the team they have there, even without Trayvon Diggs, the defense still you still got Micah Parsons.
Effective.
One of the best defensive players right now in the game. Offensive side, you have Tony Pollard. I think a really good running back. Great running back over there. You got CeeDee Lamb. You got Brandon Cooks. You've got plenty of people that can lift that team. So it's hard to say one. You could pick out a handful of other teams. Just looking at some of the 2-1 teams, you could always say Buffalo. You could put Detroit, maybe even Cleveland in there. I don't know. Green Bay, like you said, is another choice. There's a lot of good choices there. Pittsburgh, I can't do it. I can't put them in there. So I'll go with the Cowboys at number 5.
Okay.
Number 4, I have the Chiefs.
Okay.
They had, they got stunned, I guess, in week 1 with the Lions.
Yeah, fair to say.
Week 2 did okay against the Jaguars. Jaguars are a pretty decent team, but
yes. Not the
And then
Chiefs.
last week, or this past Sunday, I mean, they absolutely dominated the Bears,
I mean,
embarrassed them.
not the hardest task to accomplish, let's say, but still.
No, but they did what they were supposed to do.
Exactly.
That's what they should
Beat
have
the
done.
shit
Is
out of
drop.
them.
Yes. So because I mean, if they had struggled and only put up, 14, 20 points against them, they don't look as good. No, they did what they were supposed to do and drop, 40 something points?
41, I believe, yeah.
41. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Yeah, 41-10. Like, when did those 10 points even come in?
Probably
All
garbage
10
time.
of those points were, yeah, everything was in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, garbage time with
So it was
non-starters on
41
defense.
It was 41-0 going into the fourth quarter. Halfway through the third quarter, it was 41-0, and then they just. I don't even know if Mahomes played in the fourth quarter.
God, I wish the Dolphins played the Bears this year. Do they? That's the 70 we want to see.
Do they play each other? I don't think. No, they don't play each other. Sadly.
That'd be awesome.
So I think the Chiefs, number 4, with what we've seen so far, because it's hard to put them ahead of the other 3. So number 3, I've got the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
They look, really good last night. They got to showcase themselves in primetime television.
Mm-hmm.
They've got the run game going. Jalen Hurts is always looking pretty good. I mean, he had those 2 picks last night, but probably something to do with the rain again.
Yeah.
They have that unstoppable play, which, the pile up everybody and just let's push it forward for 1 yard.
Yeah.
I still think it's silly that people want to ban that play. Even as someone who just had that happen to their team, I don't think it should be banned. I think you should learn how to stop it. What's illegal about it? If it's not a safety issue, leave it alone. Just because it's an effective play, you're going to take it out.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine if back in, what was it, like 2008, 2007, whenever it was, if someone goes up to Miami and is like,
no Wildcat.
You can't, no Wildcat. It's too effective. We can't do the Wildcat. These defenses don't know how to stop it. So
the reason why they
can't do that.
The reason why they did it is because they beat the Patriots. Like, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened.
Yeah. And came with a game plan that week. And then everyone started doing the Wildcat for a while.
The only reason why it worked for Miami is because those running backs at the time. It was too effective.
But eventually defenses started figuring it out. You still see it a little bit today, but not much.
Not to that scale. Yeah, not to that scale.
So you have to learn how to adapt.
Yep.
And something I was thinking about last night with that play, just the 1 yard run, the one that they scored on, I thought, hey, this would be a great chance. If ever, this would be a great chance. Why don't Jalen Hurts fake the run, pop out and pass it somewhere? They didn't. They ran. But then, like, the next time down, when they're like 2 yards out, I'm like, they're running this play from 2 yards? And then they burn that play whenever they had already had the Bucs pretty much beat. I'm like, why don't you save that play in your back pocket for a really important game down? If you didn't use it earlier in the game when you're still in the middle of a fight with the Bucs, you've got them beat. Save that fake play for later. Save it for the playoffs or something at this point, Yeah,
if it's not actually crucial, use it when it's crucial.
Yes. Now people know they've got a little bit of game tape on what it's going to look like when it's fake. Can they see anything? Player personnel? Was there any slight shifts in the formation? I think they showed their hand on that a little too early.
A little side note. I did like the little piece they did on DeAndre Swift about him playing with the Eagles. Granted, I don't like the Eagles. Never have. As a Tampa, being from Tampa, you don't like the Eagles. But how he was like a diehard Philly fan his whole life, and now he's able to put the jersey on every week. That's cool.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't see that.
Yeah, it showed like a thing with his dad, but he was like he grew up a diehard Philly fan. He's from Philadelphia, so like how cool would it be to again don a jersey with your name on it that you didn't pay for? Like you're meant to be there. That's cool.
For me, number 2, I have the Dolphins. I know they just had that giant 70-point game. They're clicking on offense. They are one of the best looking offense, like the best offense that I think we've seen through 3 weeks at least since the Tom Brady, Randy Moss Patriots. And then before that, like the 99 Rams, greatest show on turf. Like So far through 3 games, they look up there. I mean, they've just got so much speed. You were talking earlier about Madden and stuff. When I play Madden, this is how I like to build my teams. Just a ton of speed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Give me a ton of speed because I don't care how big your guy. Yeah, your guy could knock me out. He's got to catch me first.
It's true.
I will sign, get rid of my big name receivers that are big guys and cost all this money. Give me some guy that's like an overall 67, but he's got a 98 speed, and I'm just going to have him run a slant. I'm going to hit him
Put it
as
right
soon
there.
as he passes over my center. I'm going to hit him there, and he's just going to blow right by it. And it's like they've taken that concept and just like, now granted, their receivers are much better than an overall 67,
Say
but
about
they took the
99.
idea of all that speed. What's that?
So let's say one of them's about a 99.
Yeah, exactly. But they took that idea of like, let's just get a ton of speed, build around that. You got your 2 receivers, super fast. Your running backs. That's like
They have a college
one thing they all have in
offense.
common.
They have a college offense for sure.
And we saw exactly what that could do. They're a lot of fun to watch. So I think right now they're going to be.
Imagine
tough
if Dan
to beat.
Marino could be playing in his youth right now with that exact team. If you just
Ooh,
replace
man.
Tua with Dan Marino, peak
Yeah.
Dan Marino, like 1985 Dan Marino,
that would be-
9,000 passing yards.
in today's NFL at that,
Yeah.
right? That would be insane.
If you inflate his stats, or for inflation, you mark up his stats. He's throwing about 9,000.
Yeah, exactly. 9,000, about 70 touchdowns.
On an off season, yeah. I only got 70 this year. Sorry.
Then overall, number one, it's got to be the 49ers.
Yeah.
They just look so dominant on both sides of the ball. You got Christian McCaffrey, best running back out there right now. Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, both look really good. Kittle, when he's healthy, really good. You got some good offensive linemen. You've got some defense.
They
Just
also
a
have the
ton of
only
stars.
fullback that you ever hear about.
Yes, the only fullback left in football. And then you have, Brock Purdy, who's just somehow continues to win and look good. Doesn't have to be a superstar, but doesn't make any of those stupid mistakes.
He's won every game he's completed.
Yeah, like, I feel like he's a step above. I wouldn't even call him a game manager. Like I feel like he's a step above that. Like you're not, because game managers, you're like, please just like don't throw interceptions, don't get sacked,
Yeah.
don't get fumbled. If you don't do those things, we did good. They want more from him than that. He isn't just a game manager, but you're not expecting him to do everything either. He's doing exactly what he should do. He needs to be good.
Spreading it
Doesn't
out.
need to be okay. He doesn't need to be great. He just needs to be good, and that's what's going to make that team great. So I think they are at the top right now. So right now, I mean, I feel like as it stands, you got 49ers, Dolphins at the top. Dolphins versus Chiefs. That would be a fun AFC championship match. Tyreek versus old team. Eagles, 49ers.
I mean,
A rematch of the NFC championship that felt like it got cut short. Like I feel like that would be some pretty good championship matches with where the league sits right now.
if you take out just the Cowboys, it's safe to say that you have the NFC and AFC championship possibly right now.
I mean, that's what it looks like. Those
Yeah.
teams through 3 weeks. I mean, it's very early. Injuries can happen.
Yes, of course.
People can get on hot streaks, but
And cold
I
streaks.
don't know. It's just hard to see these teams slowing down right now.
For sure.
So I think that sums up our top 5 for the week. I think that wraps up the show. A little shorter show this week. I think that's what we said we're going to kind of do, kind of keep them short, sweet, to the point.
Yeah, a lot less content to pack in from the preseason. We can just talk week to week now, so that's great.
Week to week, and a lot less content to upload, right?
Yeah, an hour 45-minute HD quality video on YouTube apparently takes 72 hours to render and upload.
Yeah. So that shouldn't be so bad this time. So all right, well that wraps it up for us this week. Any final thoughts before we go leading into week 4?
No, nothing for the NFL. As always, go blue.
Go blue. All right. We will see y'all next week.